Exodus 13. Consecration of the firstborn, the sacred claim. The great Exodus had begun. An entire nation, fresh from the shadow of the angel of death, now walked the dusty roads toward an unknown future. But before they could take another step, God paused them. For the journey ahead was not merely about geography. It was about identity. And so, from the very first moments of freedom, God gave them a law of the heart, the law of the firstborn. Consecrate to me every firstborn male, God declared to Moses. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me. This was not a new tax or a ritual burden. This was a living memorial. Every firstborn son, every firstborn lamb or calf, would now stand as a perpetual reminder. In the great Passover, God had spared Israel's firstborn by the blood of a lamb. Their lives were not their own. They had been redeemed, bought back from judgment by a sovereign act of grace. And God gave detailed instructions. The firstborn of clean animals, like sheep, were to be sacrificed to the Lord. But what of a donkey? An unclean animal. It could not be sacrificed. So God provided a way of redemption. Redeem it with a lamb, he said. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Even the donkey had value because God claimed it. For the firstborn son, there was no option but redemption. A lamb must always be given in his place. The principle was clear. What God claims, he also provides for. The Feast of Remembrance. Then Moses turned to the people, making it personal. Commemorate this day, he urged. Eat nothing with yeast. For 7 days, their very bread would tell a story. The story of a hurried escape, of a slavery so profound. They had no time for life's normal luxuries, like waiting for bread to rise. This feast of unleavened bread was to be a tangible timeline of their deliverance, observed at the same time each year, in the month of Aviv. And when your son asks, "Why do we do this?" you shall say, "I do this because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt." This memory was to be so personal, so woven into the fabric of their lives, that it would be like a sign on your hand and a reminder on your forehead, constantly before their eyes, guiding their hands, shaping their thoughts. Their history with God was to become their most defining feature. The unconventional path, with these laws etched into their new covenant identity, they began to march. But immediately, God's guidance took a surprising turn. The most direct route to the promised land, the coastal road through Philistine country, lay open. Yet God deliberately led them away from it. For, God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. He knew their hearts were still the hearts of slaves. Freedom was a mindset they had yet to learn. So he chose the longer, harder path, not to punish them, but to protect them from a test they were not yet ready to face. His guidance is not always efficient, but it is always purposeful. The promise Fayam, the presence. Amidst this vast migration, Moses attended to a sacred promise. He took with him the bones of Joseph. Centuries earlier, as Joseph lay dying in Egypt, he made his family swear an oath. God will surely come to your aid. Then you must carry my bones up with you. In that act, Moses connected the dots of God's faithfulness. The God who was delivering them was the same God who had promised their forefathers. They were not just carrying bones. They were carrying the fulfilled promise of generations. And then, the visible sign of God's promise appeared. A pillar of cloud by day, massive and swirling, moving ahead of the camp. At night, it transformed into a pillar of fire, casting an otherworldly glow over the desert, turning night into day. This was no ordinary weather phenomenon. This was the manifest glory of God himself. Their guide, their protector, their constant companion. He did not send a map, he became their path. The journey of the redeemed. And so the journey of the redeemed began. A people marked by a story of blood and bread, guided not by the shortest path, but by the surest presence. They walked with the promise of the past on their shoulders, and the fire of God's presence before their eyes. They were learning the first lesson of freedom. To belong to God is to be led by God, wherever and however he chooses. Lessons Faith. Amp. Teachings A. The principle of consecration. Verse 1, 2, 11, 16:1. Ownership precedes obedience. God's command begins with a statement of fact. The firstborn, belongs to me. Our obedience flows from understanding that we are not our own. We have been bought with a price. 1 Cor. 6:20 a.m. Our lives, our resources, our firsts are His by right of creation and redemption. 2. Redemption, not neglect. The law of the donkey teaches that God provides a way for what He claims. For the unclean or the irredeemable, the unredeemed donkey, there is only breaking. This points to Christ, our perfect Lamb, who redeems us fully. There is no neutral ground with God's claim. We are either redeemed by a substitute or lost. 3. Living memorials. The consecrated firstborn were to be walking, breathing monuments to the Passover. Our lives, especially the firstfruits of our time, talent, and treasure, should be constant, visible testimonies to God's saving grace in our lives. B. The practice of remembrance. 3. Tend 4. Ritual, as a memory scaffold. God institutes the Feast of Unleavened Bread as an annual sensory reenactment of their deliverance. Taste, sight, and ritual action fuse to embed the story in their communal DNA. Faith is strengthened through disciplined, tangible remembrance. 5. The pedagogy of questions. When your son asks you, God designs family faith to be intergenerational and conversational. The curious child is not an interruption but a divine invitation to testify. Our homes are the primary classrooms where the why behind our what is explained with personal passion. What the Lord did for me. 6. External signs for internal reality. The sign on the hand, action and symbol on the forehead. Thoughts symbolize that God's deliverance should permeate all we do and all we think. Our liberated identity should be the most visible thing about us, directing our labor and shaping our worldview. C. The pattern of God's guidance. Verse 17, 18:7. The longer, safer way. God's guidance is not obsessed with efficiency. He prioritizes our preparation and protection over our speed. He will often lead us the long way around to shield us from trials we are not yet spiritually equipped to handle. His detours are demonstrations of mercy, not neglect. 8. Knowing the heart of His people. God understood that former slaves, facing immediate war, would relapse into fear. His leadership is compassionate and pedagogical. He leads us as we are, not as we should be, to grow us into who we can be. D. The continuity of God's faithfulness. Verse 19:9. Carrying the promises forward, taking Joseph's bones, was an act of historic faith. It connected the present Exodus to the ancient promises made to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. It taught Israel that God keeps His covenant across centuries. We too walk in the fulfilled promises given to those who came before us. E. The assurance of God's presence. Verse 20:10. The manifest companionship. The pillars of cloud and fire were God's tangible, unfailing presence. He did not give them a GPS. He gave them Himself. He was their guide moving ahead, their protector standing between them and Egypt at the sea, and their comfort, light in darkness. The Christian's assurance is the same. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Heb 13:5-11. Adaptable but constant guidance. The form changed. Cloud fire to meet their need guidance. Light. But the presence never left. God's methods of leading us may change with our circumstances, but His commitment to be with us remains unbroken. Exodus 13 teaches that redemption is just the beginning. True freedom is a journey of consecration, giving God what is His, remembrance, living out of our story with Him, and trusting guidance, following His presence, not our own maps. It is the blueprint for the sanctified life.
Subscribe, like, comment, and hit notification button for more videos, more Bible study, and more Bible knowledge. We got you.